Zach?
Michael.
Perhaps. I think it will be.
Okay.
We'll see. The last video on government for a while.
Never say never.
Yeah. For a while. Yeah. We will. I mean, as long as we keep podcasting, there will come a time we'll have to talk about government again. But
And honestly, my wife pointed this out. Lindsey Graham passed away. When we aired it, I think we mentioned him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, not like the same, but it's pretty close.
Because we were lamenting that we didn't really like him as a senator.
I was like, almost no one I talked to, like even conservatives, like love Lindsey Graham.
Right. But we weren't wanting him to die.
No,
and we're not celebrating his death.
And that was going to be my next point. Like looking at the comments, a lot of people are.
Yeah, so bad. I did see a statistic that he died with a net worth of like 1.7 million.
Yeah.
Which is, so if you're working at Boeing for 7 years and investing, that's not unrealistic.
Right.
As compared to some of the politicians who have multi millions and maybe close to $1 billion. So, and it looks like he had all of his investments in mutual funds and
Dude,
index
he should have been
funds.
Following the Pelosi tracker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's a missed opportunity on his part.
So I appreciate that. It's like there was some honesty there and like the ability to, but didn't. So
yeah, I was always fun like looking up these salaries. Like what's his position? What do you get?
I think probably with his tenure, he's making 250, 300.
Something like that. Yeah.
Plus, I mean, whatever. A lot of these people have another job if they're lawyers or something.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Gotcha.
I don't know what he was a colonel in the Air Force.
Okay.
Reserve, I believe.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the cause? Like, what did it end up being?
Well, there's some conspiracy theories.
I've seen a lot of stuff. It's crazy.
Because he made that trip and Iran wanted him to die. And then like 3 days later, he died.
Yeah.
The official thing is the same thing that the Three's Company guy died from.
Okay.
Aortic dethreading or something. It's like where it kind of just burst and it's like you can't really control that. But I wonder if there's something that, like a drug or a poison that they give you that causes that. I don't know.
Well, pointing
COVID.
out just the coincidence, of our podcast series. It's mentioned by name, but maybe our last one on the government for a while.
Yeah.
There you go. Close it out. Finish up this report.
Yeah.
We got like 6 or 5 or I don't know how many more points to get through.
Right. So if perhaps you're tuning in for the first time, we are coming to the end of a series that we did on government. So you can find that on our Thursday episodes. And this is the second part of us going over this PCA report. And it's not their final report. It's like a, what do they call it? Not intermediate, but something like that report. And they're planning on coming out with the final report a year from now. So we got through the first 6 points, and we're going to do the last half of that. So without further ado, let's take it to the next level.
Let's fire up that twangy music.
From the heart of the Low Country in South Carolina,
it's the Take Two podcast, where we take theology to the next level. All right. The report from the PCA, picking up number 7, it rejects establishmentarianism as PCA constitutional doctrine.
Yeah, to me, this is like where it starts to get interesting. You notice all theology is born out of context, born out of the scripture, hopefully, but as it interfaces with where you specifically are at, it looks a little bit different in practice. And you see it in this government, which I think is good for us to step back and say, have a little grace with people in different cultures and that kind of thing, because America and England, not the same culture, especially around the 16 and 1700s.
Yeah. So explain this to someone like they're in 3rd grade. Like, what are they really saying?
I'll try to do my best, but big picture.
Yeah.
Originally, the Westminster Confession of Faith was written in 1646. So think of like, Puritans, this kind of thing, written in England, Scotland, really in this context of there's a king, Christendom.
The defender of the faith.
Yeah, right. It's
Did
more
you hear that,
intertwined.
Current king is dropping that, and he's wanting to.
I did not know that.
He's wanting to make it defender of faith instead of the faith. Yes.
That one. That
Yeah.
definitely.
He's not a believer, I don't believe. I believe his mother was. All right, sorry, I interrupted you.
That's good. So that's like the original. The American revision was written in 1788.
Okay.
So if you're just thinking, that's a little bit after 1776. What's on your mind? What's happened?
My freedom, baby.
And so you can just imagine the way that you read about the king might not be the same.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. You're dealing with the same scriptures. Both of these groups, high view of God, high view of Scripture. And if you go to the English version, it really talks about the civil government has a duty towards the church. That they're much more connected, where the magistrate really has the responsibility to suppress heresy, suppress blasphemy, promote and protect religion. Even at times, England's going to call a synod and oversee these church matters. Like, hey, we're going to call a meeting as a country for the church. And so that's a lot different than today, where it's all about religious liberty. Don't let the state interfere with the church. Different emphases.
Gotcha.
And so that's driving a lot of the way they look at it a little bit differently.
I think that helps clear it up. Some of the quotes from the paper: the PCA does not subscribe to the Westminster Confession as originally drafted in 1646, just as you were talking about, Zach. It subscribes to the American version of 1788. And
As it should. The PCA, Presbyterian Churches of America,
that's right.
Not England, yeah.
They go on to say the differences between these two documents bearing on the doctrine of the civil magistrate are substantial.
And so we've been appreciating it. Presbyterians, very united in the way they view church polity, sovereignty of God. Like, so much is the same. It looks different, and we talked about this at the forefront, I think, of some of these episodes. It's like things were different when Nebuchadnezzar was ruled. Like, you look at Scripture, it's like it's not the same exact. So you can't. You have to appreciate cultural differences as you're grappling with how maybe you see someone in the Scripture reaction, you're like, why did they react that way, or vice versa. Yeah,
very different. All right, next point. The committee acknowledges the historic Reform tradition was establishmentarian. So they're basically saying for a long time, this kind of was where we were.
Yep, exactly. And if we would even go back and it's like, man, a lot of stuff we agree with Martin Luther, a lot of things with John Calvin, even us, high appreciation of Presbyterians. I think it's smart for us to say, hey, some of our tradition, or, we stand on shoulders of giants. At the same time, we wouldn't express things the same way as they would, right?
I was just having a conversation with one of my first cousins once removed.
Okay.
And he's probably like 15 years younger than me. But we were eating at this place. I wish it was Patriot City Pizza, but it's still City Pizza. But it was good. And we were talking about some differences. He's gone over to be Anglican.
Okay,
Even though he was raised Baptist, which was fine. We were talking about the difference between Credo and Paedo Baptist. And we made the comment, at least we're not killing each other over those things these days.
That's right. It could be worse.
Because they were back then.
They were. That's right.
Because they thought that the government's power to bear the sword extended that far. And we would say, the government has the job to destroy evil, basically persecute evil, judge evil, and to promote what's good. But that's in some of our previous episodes, like where you draw that line, we don't want to draw it so sharp that we don't have some allowances for differences of good conscience.
And so I like the committee saying, hey, we don't identify totally with them, but we do recognize like a lot of this flow of thought does go all the way back to Calvin and Knox and the Puritans, and there are a lot of stuff we hold in common, but not everything. All
right, next point, number 9. The committee argues American Presbyterians intentionally rejected parts of this establishmentarianism. And so we had this quote: American Presbyterians believe the original confession gave too much authority to the civil magistrate in matters of religion. They go on to say they intentionally revised it to correct what they regarded as an error. So a little bit of correction here on their part.
Yeah, it's good. You recognize it's like tradition's great, but tradition, is not always like the number one slam dunk answer. And there's good things, and even in thinking of this, it's like, man, if you could like start from scratch and like build a country,
no property taxes.
Yes, I like that. You might say, I really like a lot about America, and I might not run things exactly the same. Maybe you would say, I would like to run things like how it was founded versus how it's operating now, or something like that. You might say something like that.
A blend.
Find something different.
Gives and takes,
And it's like different now. I mean, it's like our country's so much larger than it was. It just, different context. But it's good that they're not like beating around the bush. They were saying, hey, just for the record, we reject, too much authority. We're not okay with that.
All right. But I think they're going to come back. Point 10. Yet the committee says the 1788 revisions did not create secular liberalism. That's a very important nuance. One of the quotes they have, they did not produce a fully secularized document.
Yeah, it's interesting because you could probably run too far the other way. So you look at, I think Presbyterians are good at doing this. You're like, okay, we're just like affirming and denying every little thing, but they're trying to get precise because you see this in mainstream liberal denominations with everything. It's like they take hold of something and just run the total opposite. When you're like, this is not good, but also this is not good.
Right. And so the report kind of points to some language that survived in that edition: magistrates maintaining piety, nursing fathers. Not sure what that. Maybe someone PCA can give us that context there. Countenancing religion. So the magistrates, the government should have those things in there. They go on to say the existence of these provisions creates legitimate space within the PCA's constitutional framework for a range of views on the magistrate's positive relationship to religion. So we see civil government needing a positive relationship with religion, and they should kind of work hand in hand.
Because you could, be like America, separation of church and like you could really you could see how someone would erroneously just like read all of that. So it's like, okay, no, magistrate, scriptural, positive, but maybe not in the same way as England or Scotland.
Very good. Point 11, the report goes on to affirm nations, peoples, and inherited cultures. And so God made us different people. Even in the Bible it says, people, tongues, tribes, nations. We were separated at the Tower of Babel. Yeah. More, Clay can tell us all about the reasons about that.
We should have him on. Let's talk about it more. Yeah.
That's right. But so we do have those, and they're not trying to diminish them.
Yeah, it's great. It's like in this landscape, I think you can overreact so many different ways, and they do so good to hone in. Because you might, read some of the stuff like this world is not your home. It's like we're exiles. You might say, hey, that means I shouldn't have patriotism because I'm, you know what I'm saying? And so they're saying, no, some of that is good. Yeah. It's not the greatest in your life, but it's not bad. You just have to, just like with everything else, have things in their right place. But it's okay to be proud of your culture. It's okay to say you recognize other people's culture, but you can like your culture. You can like your people group. You can say, hey, the World Cup is on. I'm cheering for America. And that, that's not bad if you're like, making like
can you cheer against
a Balagan idol and bowing down to it? It's anyway. Yeah, right. So.
I was even thinking about this kind of broadly related to what you were just saying. In our last podcast, we were talking about the idea of going and finding a small town and kind of collectively. It's like, and as good as that might be, it also reminded me of our discussion about the schools. Kind of if we all leave Charleston and we go to some small town in Alabama, are we abandoning Charleston? It's hard to know exactly what are we called to do, how to best, be an influence, be the salt and light that we're called to be. And I think it is giving the gospel, but I think it's more than simply giving the gospel.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is like totally unrelated, but it's like kind of related. And we can talk about this later. Do you know like the history of like General Tso's chicken and stuff like this, like how it came into being?
I heard that General Tso is basically an Americanism, that it was made because we didn't really like real ethnic Chinese food, so they kind of tweaked it a little bit to something Americans would eat.
And I heard this too. It like came out of, you had all this Asian influence building railroads out west and these kind of things, and the railroads were done. And I don't know, there's like maybe certain laws on the books
that's good chicken.
What?
That's good chicken.
That's good chicken. there might be some laws on the books where some of these Asian people like had to run laundromats or food. Like they couldn't work anywhere. Like there were some not great laws on the books, and they kind of got together and they were like, hey, you're going to Kansas City. Like they were basically like, hey, if we're going to make us survive, we all can't have 800 China in twos in San Francisco.
Yeah.
We need to spread out, and that's how we're going to survive. And that's why if you're going through Arkansas and there's like that Chinese restaurant run by an Asian American, and it's like they had this like cultural plan that like, hey, we're not going to survive if we all just stay here. And then they Americanize it and these kind of things.
Sure. A book that you might find interesting. This is not necessarily against or pro or against Chinese people, but it really shows the Chinese government, at least those in leadership, their thoughts, called The 100-Year War. And really good, really eye-opening that the Chinese government is playing a long game of being, the biggest superpower.
I've never read this, but I wonder if they say, like, I've heard like China just one day said, we're a large country, not great at soccer, not great at basketball. If we're playing the long game, let's do table tennis, and we're just gonna make everyone good at table tennis. And it turns out, if you're Asian, if you're Chinese in particular, you're probably pretty good at table tennis because the government was just like, we're going to own this.
We're going to invest in this.
Because I was listening to a podcast of this guy, and he's like, India, China, America, not great at soccer, largest populations, and like the reasons why that's the case. And it's so interesting. And they're like, China's basically like made this thing. We're going to be good at manufacturing certain things, and they just commit to it. Where, are we committing to soccer in the same way? It was a different conversation, but it is interesting if you apply it to, church planning and culture and these kind of things.
Yeah, that's good. I want to, maybe in our last take, we can talk more about why I think America's not the best at soccer.
Oh, yeah, that's actually great. Great, perfect.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Well, do we want to say some of the quotes from this point? God has ordered humanity into distinct families, peoples, and nations. Christians may rightly love their own families, communities, and cultural inheritance as gift of God's providential care. Doesn't mean we hate others.
That's right. And it's one of those things you wrestle with. It's like, man, how much are you working with what's in front of you or what God's given to you? And that is like a wrestle. Like, you shouldn't not care about the rest of the world, but you have other things, and it is just like with all of this. That's why it's so tricky, Christian nationalism. It's not like a yes or no. Yeah. It's what are you talking about?
Yeah. It's how you define Christian nationalism.
So true.
Yeah. All right, next point. The report rejects race, realism, and did we ever decide whether this is Kinism or Kinism?
I don't know.
Kinism. So
great.
We didn't look it up between the last time we
did
recorded.
Not. But that's good. You have to say racism is bad.
Yeah.
Preference, and that's good to say, because if you don't say it, there could be misconstrued words,
Correct. Yeah, so we reject Kinism and all theological and political systems that treat racial hierarchy or separation as in any way permissible. We further deny that love of one's own people or heritage justifies contempt for, exclusion of, or injustice towards others. So I can love white people. I can love American. That love for kind of my tribe does not permit me to hate other tribes or to treat other tribes poorly.
Yeah, I think, and it's like in this climate, it's like everything you say you love something, people are like, does that mean you hate things? Not, you just need, it's like, this is where the report's good.
Yeah.
And I think the next point gets into this a little more. The report explicitly affirms the Ordo Amoris, which is really ordered loves, where there's a lot of things that would be good, but just by necessity, you do have to pick and choose.
Right.
We're
not God.
And you're not saying one is intrinsically better than the other, but you're saying whether it's a preference or where you're ordered or what's your immediate context, you're saying all of these things are good, but you only have so much bandwidth.
Right. I have limited time, limited resources, limited love, relationship,
and giftings. And it's like, if I've got children that I'm neglecting, that's bad. Everyone would say that's bad, even if I'm doing really great things 5 states away.
Right. That's right. And so there is an expectation that you're going to treat your family different than you would treat a stranger. Not that you're mistreating a stranger, but that you are doing more for your family because you have obligations to your family. You love your family.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of these quotes, this is good. They say not only did they affirm this, but they say, and this is so good to think about, Christians cannot love all people equally to the same degree and in the same way at all times. It's just like definitionally impossible.
Yeah.
And it's good to talk about that. Then, yes, exactly. And so just knowing that you're not talking about the value of someone. You're just talking about what you're able to do.
And the wise words of Syndrome from The Incredibles: when everyone is super, no one is super.
Hey, that's right. That's right. And then on the other side of it, they say, we deny that the Ordo Amoris provides a warrant for the preferential treatment of one's own ethnic group. So you want to define it where you're not saying my group is better than you. You just might be saying, hey, I just only have the bandwidth to express this love or do these things in a way that just I'm not gonna know the ins and outs of French Canadian culture or something.
Right. And you would not, and this is kind of I'm going to say this.
Great.
I'm going to say it.
Hey, social media clip. Let's get this ready. This one's going to be great.
No one would have a problem with someone who is Navajo.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm standing up for the Navajo people and I am doing things to help our people out. But if someone said, I'm standing up for the European white people,
that's a tough one today.
Ooh, because of how much we've been. But I think that there's nothing wrong with that as long as we are not hating others.
Yep, that's
and not
right.
discriminating against others. You
I
stand up and try to work for your people or whatever.
I think that makes a lot of sense. This is great. We're making our way through this report. 14. The report offers a surprisingly robust critique of modern liberalism. And this is where if you're Presbyterian or Baptist, no matter where you're at, if you have a high view of Scripture, you can get on board with this, where they say, quote, Western liberal traditions are not beyond critique, where this committee, it will criticize radical individualism. And that might be hard for an American to hear, but you can go too far with individualism, and that's good to know. Same thing with expressive individualism, the sexual revolution ideology, collapse of communal life. There's something we lose, and I moved away from my family, Lane moved away from her family, but there is something to having families living together in generations. There's something good to that. There is also, it's good to get away from it depends on the kind of, but these things you can go one way or the other with all these things.
Yeah. One of their quotes, many of the cultural developments of the past century are deeply lamentable and have caused untold damage to the fabric of our society. So that nuclear family, the generational family, there is strength there, and traditional roles. All those are they're traditional because they're set up by God. And
if you run too far in this individualistic direction, which is easy to do because we're all about the individual in America, I see it all the time. It's like, man, you can have disregard for family. You can have your love's disordered, where it's like, maybe you should take care of your mom and dad, and you're not at all. And everyone's in a different situation but I see it all the time where it's like, children are states away from their loved one. They just don't know what's going on. If they knew a better picture of how mom and dad were doing, either they would contribute financially or be like, hey, mom and dad, move in with us, or vice versa, or you just outsource it. But it's that's a good example of, I'm doing my own thing. I have no regard, where Scripture would call us to care for our families and these kind of things.
Right. All right, and then are we on to, this is the last point, 15. Perhaps the report's most important sentence. This committee rejects the idea that criticism of Christian nationalism necessarily means secularism. Here's the direct quote, we deny that rejecting the label Christian nationalism means one is in favor of a hostile, secularist, anti-Christian nationalism.
I think that's good, because part of me, I kind of shudder a little bit when I hear Christian nationalism, because I think of the worst type of.
Right.
I'm not as charitable. I'm like, I feel like maybe we're doing racism, this kind of thing, where I'm like, I don't like that term. I might reject the term. I would like to talk about it. I'm fine with people using it, but it would not. If I reject the term, it would not mean that, man, secularism rules the day. I don't want anything to do with Christianity.
Yeah, they go on to say there are other ways to affirm the influence of Christian ideas and Christian individuals in our civic life. And to me, Christian nationalism, I don't even know if I heard that term more than 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And who came up with, was this a term that Christians came up with in order to champion our cause, or was it a term that someone else came up with to try to label us? I don't know the answer to that. I just know that I am for God and the Bible and my understanding of it, and I'm for America. and I want America to be the best country that it can be and uphold God's standards with how it treats others and how it treats its citizens and, its rules and that kind of thing. So,
yeah, I think that's so good. And what this committee, this paper does well is it just gets, you just need to have a broader conversation, discussion on it where, if we were to sit down and talk to most people who would say they're Christian nationalists, like let them define it, whatever, most would probably say, I love America. I think America is great. You talk to them, you probably would get in a conversation where they'd be like, man, there's a lot of things I don't like about America.
Yeah.
We murder a lot of babies with abort. Like you can say, I love America, but you can also say, man, there's a lot of things I wish didn't happen in America. And
it's like telling your child, I love you, but I don't love all the things that you do.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing about America. I love America, but I don't love all the things that the citizens or our government does in America.
It gets so tricky when people are always like, man, like everyone always like throws out like the word fascist or Nazi to everything.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't even think they know what that means.
I
These
think
things
you're
are
probably
getting
right.
memed, but they're like the same people who are like no kings are celebrating like all of these government takeover into your personal life in New York by this new mayor.
Yeah.
And it's that you are putting the government in charge of everything. You're putting a king in charge of everything of your life.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's crazy. And on one level, this whole paper is like, on one level, it's like not helpful at all because it doesn't tell you anything. Like, doesn't just say yes or no. Right. On the other hand, it's just like overly defining everything in a classic Presbyterian way. But it's like, that's kind of what you have to do with this conversation. And, everyone just throws out terms and words without...
It's like the Chalcedonian formula. It doesn't tell you what the hypostatic union is. It just tells you it's not this.
It's not...
And it has to be in these bounds, and it can't go past this. But we don't really know how to define it. It's somewhere in there.
So, I hope this was helpful talking through this where political engagement is good. Political theology is good. Christians should have influence in the public sphere. Patriotism is good. Culture, ordered loves are good. We can, critique liberalism as well. At the same time, we reject things like racism and Kinism and ethnic hierarchy and persecution of religion and this kind of thing. And we also should not identify like this. Everything's not wrapped up in politics. Politics are important, but it's not like everything and your final hope. And I think it is hard to have it right in that middle place, not the highest or the lowest. It's hard. Most people either have it too high or too low.
Right. Yeah. It's the two extremes. It's what we tend to are the extremes. Yeah.
Totally. Anything else we want to hit on this podcast before we go to the final take?
I think that's good. I think we can roll right into the final take.
I love it.
You want to talk about American soccer?
Oh my goodness. It left me so... I was so frustrated, so upset. Yeah. And I was so high on the whole World Cup. It was great.
I know. I was living that wave and thinking we might get... I mean, even if we got like quarterfinals, semifinals, like, that'd be great.
Man.
If we didn't win, even if we didn't win it all. I think a lot of people have said things like this. Well, part of the reason is that in America, we value these other sports, and our best athletes go into those sports, and they're not training for soccer. But if you take a step back, think about the athletes that go into football and basketball, those two sports especially. Maybe there's some crossover between baseball and soccer, but your average football athlete is not going to make a good soccer athlete.
You don't think so?
No.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like my frame, I am like ideal for high level soccer.
Right.
5'10", 160 pounds is like perfect. Like that's like elite winger stuff. Like I was like, man, I should have been better at soccer than I was. Like you can where you really don't want to be carrying, even if it's all strength and muscle, you really can't carry like a ton.
No. My frame is not built well for soccer.
It is interesting. And then the other thing you have to think about, if you just look at everyone who plays soccer in America, from a numbers game, we're much larger than Belgium. From even the people that play, it's not a numbers thing.
Right.
At the same time, the people that play, a couple things, people that play soccer or that get good at, historically, I guess, I think it's changing up, but football and basketball, tend to, as a rule, come from rougher backgrounds than soccer. Like if you go to England and you are poor and you grow up on the streets, you play soccer. It's like a tough sport. In America, it is not like that. It's oh, you live in the suburbs and your dad's rich.
Cush.
Yeah. So it's like even the whole development process, I feel like, is different where, and even all the sports are kind of doing this where it's all like AAU
we
and
play
stuff.
Street ball, and that means basketball, not street soccer.
Yeah. And exactly. And so I think I was trying to think of this too and listening things. That's like part of it. And then soccer is one of those sports. I think all these sports require skill, but it's not unheard of to see a football player or basketball player. You read about them and they're like, oh, when he was in 11th grade, he said, I'll go for the basketball team or for football, and he found his love.
Right.
You can't do that in soccer.
No.
It's so highly skill. If you're not playing with when you're 7 or 8, you're probably never going to be good.
Right. Because it's so much about pattern recognition, reading, having a sense of, kind of anticipating this person's going to go there, this person go there. And I said something similar to Chloe because she had sent me that quote. I was like, I don't think it's that the best athletes are going to other sports. I think it's that you have the person who might have the good genetics for soccer and they're not playing soccer. It's not their love. They're not like at 3 and 4 and 5 seeing their team and going, man, that's going to be me someday. Yeah. I'm going to be on that soccer field and I'm going to header it into the goal and I'm going to give everything for that. I'm not saying that there aren't kids like that.
Right. But that's not everyone.
But it's not.
Everyone had a Michael Jordan jersey or Kobe or like Randy Moss. Like it just was different.
And those guys maybe they're like, I'm going to be the next Emmitt Smith. That's an old reference. But whatever.
Yep, totally.
And so they tried to do football up until their 7th grade, 8th grade. They're like, I am too small for football.
Yeah.
And then they're out of sports. And so we lose that body type. Obviously, I think soccer is on the rise in America.
It's definitely going well.
Yeah.
It just, the other thing, thinking about American exceptionalism, in our minds, we're just like, we can will it into existence.
Yeah.
If we just try, we're Americans.
We can just,
we should be awesome. And it's like, again, it's like when you look at Italy, and Italy's not in the World Cup, but talk about like France and Spain, not large countries by number when you compare. I don't know where they rank in the order, but compared to the largest countries, there are many countries larger than them, and they just got it down. And even these French adjacent countries like Senegal, Algeria, it's like, it's just different than like America.
And I'm not saying that those other countries don't have any, I don't know if fraud is the best word, but issues with their organization.
Oh, yeah.
But I hear reports that American soccer, the MLS, and the organization that will finally put together our American team, there's like some bad actors in there that aren't necessarily looking out for the best.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about that I just read some tweets like, this person's been in there forever and they're holding up these 18U and 16U teams that should be producing stuff. And, there's, I don't know. I'm just repeating what I read on some tweets.
Yeah, it's like in the NBA and NFL as well, every team has like one guy or two guys, like a Draymond Green type that's just going to like put someone hit someone hard, like do something that's like, you crossed the line. You watch that Belgium game, and it was just like, there's like just no fight in you. It was, that's easy to say from far away, but it's like, man, I don't lose 4-1, whatever. It just like, what are we doing? Why is no one getting trucked out there? Like it just is like, in all the other sports, I feel like even if you get mad at your player for getting a flag, every now and then you're like, okay, we're getting crushed, but this guy wants to play.
Yeah, it's justified. Like there's a fight in him. He's not going down easy.
Yeah, because it just felt like it was like we played so well, and then we just didn't have it. Yeah, it was just like, oh.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh man. There was like so much hype, like, man, Balogun is back in it.
I missed the first half because of anti-rehearsal, so it's like at the very end of the first half, and I'm driving home and I'm looking at the score because we were looking at the score.
Oh yeah.
So all we saw were score updates while we were talking about it, and I'm driving home and I text the family and I'm like, is the refereeing bad? Are we playing bad? Are they playing good? And the response was, refereeing seems spot on to us. Like maybe when you get here, because you always have problems with the refs, you'll see some stuff. But I didn't. I got home, I didn't. And they're like, they said, they're just playing good, we're playing bad. And I was like, okay.
Man, and it was just like so stark. It was like, oh man, we just need more. Like, do you know Balogun's like how he's an American citizen? You've heard the story.
I know it's like tangent, like it's like,
great.
Yeah.
Like his mom was like she was visiting the U.S., wouldn't fly back, and they're like, oh, you're 8 months pregnant, you can't fly back. Delivered the baby, then flew back. Okay. But he was born on American soil. It's like we just need to find more of those guys, you know. But it's like that's if you look at all the countries, that's how like all of them are. Everyone's got.
Yeah.
They're maybe not from that, you know. There's so much of that. We just need to. Anyway, but like
speaking
you said,
of, this is some people will not like me saying this, but
great.
I'm going to say because this is what I think. You know, there are some countries that your team, they're like, okay, that team looks like they're from that country.
Yeah.
And there's some countries like none of those people look like they're the nationality of that country. Like I was looking at the English team; they look English.
Yep.
They had people of different skin tones, but even like the darker skin tone guys, they look English.
Yep. Yeah.
And I don't remember there was one team I was like, none of these people even look like what I imagine people from this country would look like. They just look like they're imports from other countries.
Yeah, you're like, this is not. It's great. Still going on, but like you said, it's like trending in the right direction. It was like exciting.
Yeah.
And it seems like we're getting better, which is good. It's just, how do we keep it rolling?
I think it's things like this. So maybe kids seeing this World Cup go, it starts a fire in them. So maybe your 3 or 4 year old.
I wish Pulisic, I know he was injured, like dramatically injured. I wish like someone had a slightly better World Cup. So it was like, oh, like you're saying, hey, here's your LeBron jersey. Like Pulisic is good, but he's not like he's not like he like captured everyone. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like where it would be like,
who's the 21-year-old black guy that was getting all the hype? Like so young, kind of tall, like 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
Jonathan something, I don't know.
Man, I don't even know.
You want someone to be
like,
that star that everyone idolizes. And
it's like, maybe you can latch
maybe he
on.
could be it. There's the one. I'm sorry, I don't know their names, so I can just describe him. Black guy that had like the frosted hair.
Oh yeah,
he seemed like a pretty.
I don't know if McKinney or not, but like
and then the guy that had the red sided hair. Like they seem like these are good.
Yeah,
good
it's like we did have like 3 or 4. It felt like strong players. It seemed like we had 3 or 4 like liabilities, and some people in there. But it's like if we could, get more, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I hear that 2 of the goals, the goalie probably was not in the right position on this last game and kind of didn't help.
And the goalie was like a giant question mark, kind of going like, who are we going to go between? And man, what a blunder. Like a couple of those goals, that was this bad thing. It was like, what a just like, we just weren't processing things. We were like out of position. Like, those are tough.
Yeah.
Those are tough.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we did it. Government and soccer all in one. We're good.
Soccer, that is association football for all you non-Americans and non-Australians. All right, anything else?
That's all I got.
That's our take.
Thanks for listening to Take 2. Find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube for those who want to watch our videocast.